Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are unpacking the profoundly deep Quranic concept of Iḥsān. We're going to move way past the simple, everyday translation of doing good into what is actually a comprehensive blueprint for living a genuinely beautiful life. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so you usually hear Iḥsān translated as just doing good, or maybe benevolence. And sure, while those definitions aren't exactly wrong, honestly, they barely scratch the surface. If we just accept that simple definition and stop there, we're totally missing the bigger picture.
To really get it, we've got to look at the Arabic root of the word, ha-si-nun. It literally means to be beautiful or excellent or attractive. Think about how much that completely shifts the paradigm. This isn't just about hitting some basic baseline of morality. It's about beautifying our actions to their absolute highest form. We're talking about totally rejecting mediocrity and making goodness actually look and feel beautiful.
And you see this reflected perfectly in the Qur'an. It constantly talks about the Muḥsinīn, the people who actively practice Iḥsān. There's this explicit, incredibly powerful statement, indeed, Allah loves the Muḥsinīn. So divine love isn't just tied to having a good heart or nice intentions, right? It's directly attached to beautifully executed, refined, everyday actions.
So let's jump into Section 1, Justice versus Excellence, moving beyond the baseline.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to contrast it with justice, or ʿAdl. Justice is basically saying, I repay exactly what you gave me. You know, it's highly transactional, you get precisely what you are legally or morally owed. But Iḥsān steps in and says, I respond with generosity, even when I am absolutely not obligated to. It's proactively going way beyond what is strictly owed to someone.
Basically, justice keeps society functioning. It stops everything from falling apart. But Iḥsān is the secret ingredient that actually breathes life and beauty into it. Think of it like a building. Justice is the poured concrete foundation. It's absolutely necessary. But Iḥsān, that's the breathtaking architecture and interior design that turns that concrete shelter into a warm, inviting home.
Which brings us to Section 2, Excellence in Everyday Action, putting Iḥsān into practice. How does this actually look day to day? Well, it starts right at home. It's fascinating because immediately following the command to worship Allah alone, the Qur'an commands Iḥsān toward parents. That is a massive placement. It means our parents aren't just owed some kind of basic contractual fairness or a begrudging sense of duty. They deserve a deeply beautiful gratitude that throws out the whole idea of keeping score.
This also completely dictates how we communicate. Actually, just speaking the truth isn't enough if your delivery is harsh or destructive. We're explicitly commanded to speak to people good words, and even more specifically, to say that which is best, or ahsan. So if you're one of those people who is brutally honest but totally lacks tact, you might be practicing justice, sure, but you are definitely not practicing ihsan. The truth has to be beautifully phrased.
And honestly, here's where it gets really challenging. The Qur'an asks us to repel evil with what is better. Notice that comparative word again, ahsan. It doesn't just say, hey, respond to evil with something pretty good. No, it asks us to respond with what is objectively better. Why is that? Because the ultimate goal of Iḥsān is transformation, not revenge. It's about literally breaking a cycle of negativity with just overwhelming excellence.
That brings us to Section 3, Quality over Quantity, the ultimate test.
The Qur'an explicitly tells us that life and death are a test of who is best indeed. The Arabic phrase there is ahsanu amala. But notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say we're tested on who has the most deeds. Sheer volume isn't the point here. It consistently values the quality of excellence over quantity. Just a handful of perfectly crafted, beautifully intentioned actions will easily outweigh an absolute mountain of careless ones.
Now let's zoom out to the big picture for Section 4, the architecture of beauty, a cosmic worldview.
Even though the specific name Al-Muḥsin isn't explicitly listed for God in the Quran, Allah repeatedly describes his own actions as acts of Iḥsān. For example, take this verse, He perfected, or ahsana, everything He created. Think about what that reveals. The universe isn't just this cold, functional, utilitarian machine. Creation reflects divine excellence. It is inherently, deliberately, and perfectly beautiful.
So what does this actually mean for us? It means Iḥsān isn't just a basic set of behavioral rules. It's a complete worldview that bleeds into every conceivable area of life. We're talking about worshiping with utter sincerity, working excellently at your job, forgiving people graciously when they wrong you, and honestly, this might be my absolute favorite takeaway, leaving every single place better than you found it. It's the ultimate overarching ideal for living beautifully.
If you map out the progression of all these major Quranic concepts, it's really like climbing a massive staircase. You start out at the bottom with basic guidance, or huda. Then you step up to trust, you build steadfastness, and you establish justice. But the summit, it culminates right at the very top with Iḥsān. True excellence sits magnificently at the absolute peak of human spiritual development.
To pull all this together, justice essentially asks, what is the bare minimum that is right? Like, what is legally required to fulfill this basic contract? But Iḥsān demands we constantly ask ourselves a much harder question. It forces us to look way past the bare minimum and figure out how to elevate everything we do to its absolute highest form.
So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to carry with you today, in your very next interaction. I don't care if it's an email you're writing for work, a quick chat with a family member, or just how you treat a complete stranger on the street. Don't just ask what's required of you. Stop and ask yourself, what is the most beautiful thing I can do right now? Thanks for exploring this with me today. Keep striving for that excellence.